Before watching this video, you should have read Chapter 10, Lesson 2, all about the Trail of Tears. For the Trail of Tears, you would have read about the Cherokees and how they were removed from the area around Georgia. How might American Indians have felt about Jackson's Indian policy to remove Indians from the East by force? So if you read about it, you should have read about the treaty signed by a few Cherokees, how most of the Cherokees disagreed with this treaty, but it was still approved, and how Jackson supported the passage of the Indian Removal Act. He proposed the law to Congress and encouraged Congress to pass it, and then he signed it. Now, a lot of Native Americans didn't want to be removed from their homes. Jackson has cheated us of our land by making treaties he never intended to keep. We have been dragged from our homes and forced to move. On the Trail of Tears, 4,000 of us died. So the 4,000 are just from the Cherokee on the Trail of Tears. For the Cherokee, a lot of these 4,000 that died, a lot of them died of disease or exposure to the weather. So we're going to take a look at this picture. I want you to take a moment, look at the picture. It's also on Schoology. And I want you to think about how people in this picture felt. Just based on this picture, how do they feel? How can you tell that? What from this painting tells you or shows you how they feel? So we're going to look at some more of the people in this painting, and I want you to think about some questions. So we have an armed soldier who's escorting the Cherokees. You see several soldiers in this painting. An elderly woman on horseback. There's a Cherokee warrior on horse. And we also have a Cherokee mother walking with her children. Here's a Cherokee boy carrying his dog. A Cherokee father driving a wagon. So these people are on the Trail of Tears. They're marching miles towards Indian Territory, which is in present-day Oklahoma. It was a very long journey. Other people who are not in this picture but were a part of the Trail of Tears were the Georgian settlers, so the people that moved into Georgia once the Cherokees and other Native American tribes were removed. You also have Andrew Jackson, who supported the passage of the Indian Removal Act and encouraged the removal of all Native Americans from the Georgia area. So some questions. All of those people would have very different viewpoints towards what happened to the Cherokees, what happened to the Native Americans. I want you to think about how these different groups, these different perspectives, how they would feel towards these questions. So think about this first question. Why are American Indians being removed from their homelands? Would the soldier have a different answer to that question? Why are American Indians being removed from their homelands? Than the child? Would the child have a different answer? The mother, the father, the warrior, the elderly woman? What would Andrew Jackson say to that question? How would he answer? Why are American Indians being removed from their homelands? How would the Georgian settlers answer that question? Another question to think about, where there would most likely be different answers. Do you think the policy of Indian removal is fair? Why or why not? Would he think it's fair? Would he think it's fair? Would they think it's fair? Would Andrew Jackson think it's fair? Would the Georgian settlers think it's fair? Another question. How has this policy changed your life? Has it changed his life? His? Theirs? How has it changed Andrew Jackson's life? How has it changed the lives of the settlers, the people that moved into Georgia after they were removed? Do you think this policy promotes American democracy? Why or why not? American democracy, government by the people. Would he think this is government by the people? Would he think that? would they think this is government by the people? The Georgian settlers, would they think that this is government by the people? What would Andrew Jackson think? Would he think that this is government by the people, American democracy, removing the Native Americans, the Indian Removal Act? Why or why not? So I want you guys to think about those questions. And I want you to think about this as we continue going through looking at these different pictures that represent Jackson's presidency, of what kind of president Andrew Jackson was.